Yo, what is poppin', my guys? It is your boy Ashley, and today we are bringing you our first game of the IBL. This is season 4. We are playing LittleBigness and his Seattle Scizors. Now, I've heard from a lot of people that he's a great battler. And this is my first game of this season. Back in the UBLN, when you guys see my content, I've played those guys a couple of times. I've battled with them before. A lot of these IBL folk I've never battled with or really seen battle a lot, so a little bit nerve-wracking. Sorry I don't have my layout this week. I've been crazy busy with work. We had 3 people quit recently, so we've just been mad slammed. It's been really difficult to work around that and try and get all the stuff that I need to done for these leagues, but you know, we out here grinding and we're gonna bring you guys the content. It doesn't matter if we have a layout or not right now. All you need to know is what's popping with the teams. I brought Celesteela, Arcanine, Crocodile, Togetic, Slowking, and Mega Gallade. As you can see, Drew brought his Mamoswine, his Gramble, his Tauros, his Mew, his Salazzle, and his kommo-o. So I know his kommo-o is a possible Z user, and I think his Mew is a possible Z user. So both of those Pokemon are very, very intimidating, to say the least, as Z-Mons. So I'll tell you what I brought to the match though. We have Intimidate Crocodile. That's my boy Yeezy. He's rocking the Expert Bell, because you know Kanye always stays fashionable. This has a jolly nature with a good bit of speed. Has Stealth Rock, Crunch, Earthquake, and Superpower. This thing is just meant to pivot, get rocks up, and try and force out the Mew. If it's not packing something like Dazzling Gleam, it can EQ on the Mamoswine, or I guess switching on the Mamoswine if the Mamoswine is trying to set up rocks. Obviously, I know Crocodile isn't like a Mamoswine counter or anything, but he can always fear the Scarf, because Crocodile is a great Scarfer, and to be honest, I kind of wish that I had brought Scarf Crocodile to this match, but we'll talk more on that later. We have offset our Celesteela with the Figgy Berry. This boy is Beast Boost, as you all know. A very, very, very defensive set to deal with the kommo-o and the Mamoswine. Like, he has a lot of physical threats, so we definitely needed that. Is Leech Seed Protect, Toxic Heavy Slam. Very, very, I mean, this could be a ladder set. It's just super, super basic. Next up, we have Benzie the Togetic. Unfortunately, this is our only form of removal, so we threw EV Light on that bitch, gave it Protect, Wish, Defog, and Dazzling Gleam. You know, that's pretty much all you can do for that thing. Just give it a move that's going to hit everything. It does a great job of hitting that kommo-o, which is the main thing it was meant to counter. That's really all I got to say about it. We're also rocking Protect and Wish, because that's super important. It's going to be able to help us pass to our Mons like Slowking and to our Celesteela. Keeping Celesteela healthy is very, very important, as I can't really win this game without Celesteela. I mean, as you can see, it does a good job of walling off a lot of his team given its investments, but there's definitely some low-key threats that could threaten it out, and we need to be able to keep it healthy, which is why Togetic is here, as well as defogging to keep the rocks away, because Arcanine is one of our pivots, and we can't really have that thing pivoting in on rocks a ton. So unfortunately, he does have a lot of options for rocks, but we're hoping that Togetic can be the reliable defogger we drafted it as. Next up, we have Ratchet the Mega Gallade. This boy right here is justified, as you can always expect from a Mega Gallade. Knockoff Swords Dance, Close Combat, and Shadow Sneak. I did not expect him to bring Tauros, so a late game Shadow Sneak sweep wasn't entirely out of the question. But this thing is going to be able to do a lot on its own. The ability to knock off is really, really nice, as he can it can hit that Mew on the switch in, do a good chunk of damage, as well as just get rid of any items on any of these things. Like something like a Choice Scarf Mamoswine could put in a little bit of work on my team if it can get rid of stuff like the Celesteela and the Slowking. I don't think you'd need to be Scarf though. I mean, I guess to outspeed Gallade. I don't know, man. I'm just talking. You know how these things goes. I hate doing team builders. I'm not very good at them. We have Low Pump the Slowking. This boy has Regenerator. Pretty much max special defense. Scald, Slack Off, Toxic, and Ice Beam. Ice Beam allows us to hit the kommo-o and Scald allows us to try and fish for burns on the kommo-o. It allows us to take care of the Salazzle. It allows us to burn the Mew, get a little bit of chip damage off on it, and it really doesn't matter if he burns us, because if he burns us, then that just means we can't get Toxic. Although probably I'll just rather Toxic the Mew, you know, but whatever, I digress. Just this pretty standard Slowking set, meant to try and keep it around and wall some of the things like his Salazzle primarily that would be a threat to my Celesteela. Finally, we have Arcanine. This is Boone with the Rocky Helmet. This is Flash Fire, as I thought that I could make it a nice little switch into Salazzle as well. I was very worried about this Salazzle. And I'm running Will-O-Wisp, Morning Sun, Extreme Speed, and Flare Blitz. So I don't know why I was so worried about Salazzle and then didn't run the Bulldoze or something similar. But I would like to think it's because I was going to bluff that I could hit him and have him switch out, because if the scenarios were reversed and I had the Salazzle and I used Flamethrower or something and they switched into Arcanine and got the Flash Fire boost, I would be like, okay, so they're prepped for me. They know they know what they're doing. They have a plan. I'm bouncing out of here, and that would allow me to do a ton of damage with the Flare Blitz after the Flash Fire boost. But anyway, that's enough talk about the game. Let's go ahead and bounce into it and see how it actually went. So I'm gonna skip ahead over the little boring part. There we go. We're challenged by Pokemon Trainer Bigness. So we're going to go ahead and lead with our Celesteela, as he is going to go ahead and lead with his Donko, which is his Mamoswine. So this is the lead matchup I was prepared for. I really wanted to fire off a Leech Seed here, but instead I think I just end up going for the Heavy Slam. I thought that he might try to set up rocks, because he could leech, if I Leech Seeded and he just set up rocks, he could just switch out afterwards. So I went for the aggressive play. I actually ended up doing a good bit to this Mew, but I do see that it is leftovers. So here I think, okay, maybe this is his rocker, which was a dumb mistake. I should have protected here, but instead I just opt to go for the Leech Seed, as he is going to get a good chunk off with the Flamethrower. And unfortunately, I missed the Leech Seed as well, so that would have been really, I wouldn't have minded so much taking that damage if I would have hit that Leech Seed, but unfortunately I didn't. So what can you do? I go right here in the Slowking, as he's just going to U-turn. Sorry, having a little bit of problems with the viewer. He's going to U-turn, bounce right out, which is super unfortunate, as go right back into Jake, which is his kommo-o. Now, here, I don't know what he's going to try and do. I imagine he's going to try and set up, so I decided to hit the Ice Beam. He is going to go for the SD, which is a little bit scary, but as far as I know, I can pretty much wall this thing pretty well. I go for the Ice Beam, and that is going to do a little under half, so that's really unfortunate. If it had done a little over half, I obviously would feel comfortable staying in and firing off another, but instead I opt to switch out here and go right into my Togetic to hit him with the Dazzling Gleam. But unfortunately, he actually is packing the Thunder Punch, which I didn't even think to scout for. So I know for a fact he outspeeds me. I'm going to protect here and try and get the Mind Games going. So now he goes for the Thunder Punch again, and I don't want him to go for a fighting move or anything like that, but I risk, okay, I'm sorry, I don't want him to go for a fighting move, so I'm going to go right out here into Arcanine, and as you can see, he actually opts to go for the all-out pummeling. So I'm really glad that I didn't stay in there, or I'm really glad I didn't switch to Crocodile there, because I really wanted to get the Intimidate, but +1 all-out pummeling still would have absolutely demolished my Crocodile, and it would have knocked out my Celesteela as well. So it's unfortunate that the Arcanine is knocked out, but we do still have the Slowking available to wall this Salazzle that he's brought. So here I make a really dumb decision, right? I go into my Celesteela. Now, that was not the play. The play here is always go into Gallade, because Gallade outspeeds kommo-o and it knocks it out with Close Combat or Zen Headbutt or any number of moves that I have. This thing is a +2, but in my mind, I'm looking at the calcs, and I think that if I can get this man to proc my Figgy Berry while I get the Leech Seed off, it will enable me to get up at a good range of health and just whittle this thing down. That is absolutely not the play. That was super dumb. I want to say that I felt a little bit pressured by time. I'm not used to playing on Wi-Fi, so the timed aspect of it was definitely unexpected. I felt very pressured. That's not an excuse or anything. I should have thought about it. I had plenty of time left on the clock, but I felt like I made decisions throughout this game very quickly when I didn't have to make them as quickly as I did. So we're just gonna go ahead and bounce right back through the game and see the effects of my decision here. So at this point, I actually kind of realized that I've screwed up and go right here into my Crocodile, because as far as I know, he is going to go for a Thunder Punch. It's his best play, and he does. So right here, I look at my calcs and I realize that I'm going to outspeed this kommo-o, even if he is timid, right? So I decide that I really want to go for the Earthquake. However, a regular Earthquake does not kill at the range that he is currently at. So what I need to do is I need to bait for the close combat and switch out and then switch back in and knock him out. All of this would be unnecessary had I just gone to Gallade and scared him out anyway, but what can you do? So here I'm going to go right out here into the Slow King, because I know that I will take a close combat pretty well, as he does indeed go for the close combat. So as you can see, that's going to do a little bit, but after Regenerator and Leftovers, it's really not that much at all. So he always can go for the... See, the only unfortunate thing is here is that he's done enough to where if he goes for the Thunder Punch, even at the -1 attack, he will still do a hefty chunk of damage to this Slow King, and I'm not sure how I would be able to get it all back. So here I go into the Celesteela, as he actually goes for the Dragon Claw. I did not expect that at all, but he does. So I look at the calcs, and it's a roll for him to knock me out with close combat. I live a Thunder Punch. I think that's what it was. It was one way or the other. It was basically one of them was a roll in my favor, and one of them was I lived every time. So I decided I'm gonna stay and try and proc my Figgy Berry and get off a Leech Seed, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I protect to get a little bit of no, I'm sorry, not leftovers. I don't know why I protect. I protected to see. Okay, I'm sorry. I protected to see what he would go for, and then I did my calcs off that. So I figured he would go for another close combat, and as you'll see, he actually gets the roll to knock me out. So my Celesteela is down, and that is a huge problem, because now that Gramble is going to be doing a ton of damage to me. So that's super unfortunate that I let the Celesteela go down that way. That was not the play whatsoever. I should have gone into Gallade at any point here, especially after this, but in my mind I'm like, okay, look, Crocodile is faster, right? Crocodile is faster, and I can guarantee just Earthquake and knock this thing out now. I think he'll probably stay in, and it'll be okay. So I go into this thing, I get the Intimidate off, I go for the Earthquake, because I outspeed. Except there's one thing, you play Wi-Fi on Draft League, I'm sorry, you play Wi-Fi, it's at 50, level 50, and Showdown does not automatically put your stuff at level 50, so I had adjusted his kommo-o at level 50, and I had forgotten to adjust my Crocodile. If I had adjusted my Crocodile properly, I would have seen that I did not outspeed this kommo-o, and then it outspeeds me every single time, and I didn't do that. I was looking through very quickly, and I totally forgot to change the Crocodile to level 50. So I do not outspeed this kommo-o. He's going to close combat and knock out my Crocodile. So because I didn't go into Gallade like 10 turns ago, I have lost the two of the most important Pokemon for actually winning this matchup. And I finally go into Gallade after all this time and see that once I Mega, holy shit, he just switches. It's very frustrating when you just play bad and don't have any excuse, you know? Like, anyway, this Gramble comes out and intimidates my Gallade, putting me back at +1, which is nice and all, you know, to be sitting here at +1, but at +1 I'm still doing like maximum 15% to this Gramble, so, and it can absolutely destroy me with a play rough. I just have to bounce out if I don't have a choice, and I go right here into Lil Pump the Slow King. He is going to play rough. That is going to do a ton of damage. Luckily, leftovers is going to make it to where I can take a couple, but I want to avoid taking as much as possible because this Gramble is pretty hefty. He is going to go right out here into Jake, the kommo-o. I really wanted to Ice Beam there, but unfortunately, I did not. He is just going to start taking the poison damage, and here I think I might just stay in and go for the Ice Beam because a regular Thunder Punch without a Swords Dance, I can live. And if he Swords Dances, then I can just knock him out anyway. He is going to go for the Thunder Punch. It's going to put me down at 28%. I'm going to get off the Ice Beam and kill this kommo-o. So we've at least managed to finally kill the kommo-o, even though we should have done it like 30 turns ago. And we lost every offensive win column we have except for Mega Gallade. But you know, it's no big problem. We can still try and fight back. He is going to go right out here into Salazzle, which is a little bit of a problem, seeing as this is my Salazzle counter and I can't live a hit from here. I am able to bounce out here though and just sack off my Togetic. I really don't have a reason to keep it around anymore. The Salazzle is already doing a lot of work to my team, and I don't want to switch Gallade in to take that damage unnecessarily. I can go right back out into my Slowking right here, just trying to get up Regenerator health, basically. Cycling it in and out. He's actually going to go for the Substitute here, and I think I go for the Slack Off, yeah, because after that Regenerator I was able to live a Sludge Wave, and I think he knew that. He must have been calcing as well, because he just goes for the Substitute, knowing that the Slack Off was my best play, so that's definitely a good play on his part. He is going to go ahead and Toxic, and it's at this point I realize... No, I'm sorry, it is not at this point. I will save it. I'm going to go ahead and hit the Scald as he Toxics me. So I'm like, okay, this sucks that he is just basically going to Toxic Scald me with this Salazzle. My goal is to somehow catch him predicting and get my Gallade in without the Substitute up. That's pretty much the only thing I can try to do at this point. So here, I'm just going to go for another Scald. If he tries to set up the Substitute, it'll break it, and if he does something else, I'll be able to hit him unless he goes for Disable. So it's at this point I realize what a genius Salazzle set this is, because it actually beats Celesteela without having a fire move. Being faster than it and able to set up Substitutes and Disable and Toxic through the Steel type with Corrosion is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love this set. I'm very frustrated that I had to that it put in so much work for me. At this point, I actually just had to just stay here and spam Ice Beam until he killed me or the sub was gone, essentially. So I love this Salazzle set. That's so cool. I talked with one of my buddies back when I was into VGC about potentially making a Salazzle with almost an identical set in order to 1v1 a Celesteela. Just as like a fun like counter meta set. And I'm not glad that he brought it against me because it obviously whipped me, but I think it's really cool that he brought this set. I was clearly out prepped this battle. I didn't play well. I played very horribly. I'm guessing you can tell by the tone of my voice and by just looking at the mons that I have left that I did not win this game. But I am going to switch out here and try and get a little bit of recovery. If he tries to go for a sub, that's fine. If he attacks, that's fine too. I'm just trying to get this game over with at this point. I'm still trying, don't get me wrong, but staying in was not the play versus that Salazzle. That's just letting it chip me down. So he is going to go here for the Sludge Wave. He is definitely faster than me, which is super unfortunate. I am kind of agreeing with the analyst at this point that Mega Gallade being my fastest is not ideal. He's going to go ahead and hit the knockoff. Just trying to get the Black Sludge off of this thing if I can. He actually withdraws the Salazzle, which is nice. I should have been chasing things out with this Mega Gallade a long time ago. But unfortunately, he is just going to go right into this Gramble, which, as you can see, absolutely chews that knockoff. Now, he doesn't have the leftovers anymore, but I'm not really doing anything to him that's going to be doing significant amounts of damage anyway. We're just going to switch right out into a little pump and try and take another play rough. That's all you can do, really. Yikes. That does a ton of damage. We do get the leftovers, but the poison is pretty much going to negate that. Which, you know, at this point, I didn't have anything for the Granbull, which is super unfortunate. Crocodile, they couldn't really do anything to it. The only thing on my entire team that could have handled this Granbull was not even really Arcanine, unless it Will-O-Wisp it. It would have to be Celesteela, and I lost Celesteela on a roll, which I should never have had it in on the first place. I should have gone Glade. I was a little shook, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you for this game. Big shouts out to Drew. He prepped. He had great prep. His team prep was I've never seen him battle before, so when I say much better than expected, I just always expect people to. I try to expect the average when I play people. I don't like to assume anyone's bad. I don't like to assume anyone's really good. I just like to assume that people are right down the middle until I kind of get a feel for their battle style. And I misread his battle style heavily. You can tell by the Arcanine prep that that Arcanine set was really made to counter and pivot and get momentum off of the Salazzle, and there's no way the Salazzle could have activated it. It would have to have activated against the Mew, and honestly, I could have hard swapped into Arcanine on the Mew. I could have protected with Celesteela, seen the Flamethrower, hard switched into Arcanine, gotten the Flash Fire boost. There's lots of different things I could have there's lots of different things I could have done that were just miles better than the options that I chose, just cards on the table. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week. It was it was a fun battle. I enjoyed being in it. I'm really frustrated with myself and how it went out, but it was a great learning experience, and I hope that Drew and I get the opportunity to play again so that I can hopefully put up a better fight next time. Big shouts out to him. His link will be in the channel description below. His channel will be linked in the description below, is what I meant to say. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you want to see me lose more, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.